Good morning and welcome to the regular meeting of City Council on Monday, December 30th, 2024. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Mr. Charlin?
Here.
Mr. Coghill? Ms. Gross? Mr. Mosley?
Here.
Mrs. Kell Smith? Mrs. Strasburger?
Here.
Mrs. Warwick? Mr. Wilson? Mr. Wilson? Mr. Lavelle, President?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Can you tell, John, can you tell Barb to step in?
Mute.
Mr. Wilson? Mrs. Warwick? Here. Five members present.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. Our next order of business is to amend the agenda. Is there a motion to amend?
So move.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Our next order of business is proclamations. We have one to be read into the record from Councilwoman Smith.
Councilwoman Teresa Cale Smith presents, be it further resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby declare Tuesday, December 31st, 2024 to be Keith Edward Smith Day in the City of Pittsburgh.
May we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Proclamation has been approved. Our next order of business is public comment. I would like to remind everyone that the rules of council state that comments are limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which may be before City Council. Profanity will not be permitted. Once you are called, please restate your name, provide your neighborhood for the record. You'll be given 3 minutes to speak. Our first registered speaker is Dr. Ronald Lynn Miller.
Dr. Ronald N. Miller, Belsuver, Lawrenceville, Arsenal 201 for housing, Global Intelligence Society.org. I'm a Global Intelligence Society candidate for President 2028, Anti-Trump Initiative 7, pro-city allies and country alliances, which include Democratic Republics of Mexico, Canada, Panama, and Denmark. The Global Intelligence Society is the social policy extension of the Center for Global Studies International Interdisciplinary, founded by me in 1999. It is a Pennsylvania corporation, 2831602. Concerns of council include freedom of speech and public comment, PC, and Israel-Palestine. On PC, you, Mr. Lavelle, and the council say you do not permit profanity, Bakar Magana, African Hausa, yet you permitted a citizen in her public comment to defame another citizen using lies and the expression, and I quote, "Leave me the F alone," the F word was said, which publicly recorded act remains part of RLM anti-council litigation. Reference RLM email to councilors 19 August 2024, which no councilor so far has disputed. You say you allow expression of free speech in public comment, yet you collectively permitted Ms. Gross, Mr. Coghill, to interfere with the public comment of RLM without stopping or censuring Gross or Coghill, which is also part of ongoing litigation against this council. Also in my 19 August 2024 email, without any pushback from Ms. Gross or the rest of you. On Israel-Palestine, you do not say publicly, collectively, anything regarding the conflict in West Asia 2023 to 2025 between Palestinians and Israelis. Why not? The city of city residents, we pay over $700,000 for individuals, you, claiming to represent the peoples of this city, which include some Palestinian Americans, and especially Woman of the Year, Ms. Badass, District 5, Warwick, to not affirm the existence of both the State of Israel and the State of Palestine, and to not condemn Israeli military slaughter of Palestinian children. Why not? Instead, what we have is anti-Semitic Palestinian, pro-Israeli actions such as Corey O'Connor, when he was representing District 5, inviting Jewish school children in here to sing the national anthem, not of the United States of America, but of Israel.
Our next and last speaker is Ralph Williams.
And good morning. I want to wish council here very happy holidays. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. My Christmas week was not very good this week because on Friday we had the SWAT team here in my apartment building. I live in the Allentown section of the city of Pittsburgh. I live in the Calajuri Plaza. The incident happened one floor below my apartment. And I want to give credit to Chris Ragland and the city and the SWAT team for their work on Friday in handling the situation that was going on in the building here and securing our building and making sure that everything was secure. I want to compliment the city police on that. But I don't want to compliment the city police on the fact that this guy should have been arrested on a Tuesday when he was up at our building trying to break into people's cars up in the back of our building. They knew what he was capable of doing, this guy, and the city did nothing about it. As a council here in the mayor's office, you guys have to get together and change some of these policies. I don't know what they are with the police, but you got to change some of them because some of these policies are ridiculous, and some of the things that have been going on with arrests and things like that have been ridiculous as well. It's very terrible that this is what's going on in our city right now. Public safety is an issue, and it has been for a while, and it will continue to be under this current administration. We need to, you guys here on this council need to do something, please, about about the policies of the city police. You need to get a chief in here that can get law enforcement back to where it was once before. Start arresting some of these people, putting them in jail, and getting them off the streets and keeping our city streets safe. But I do want to compliment again the city police for their efforts and county police as well. I will compliment them at another time. But the city police I want to compliment for their efforts of keeping our building safe during the time of Friday's incident up at the Calajuri Plaza. And those of you who are not aware, I was on WTAE News and I was interviewed thoroughly on WTAE News. Check out the video on the news as well, because I exposed the Housing Authority City of Pittsburgh, and now I'm getting some action as to some things that need to be cleaned up in this building. Thank you. You guys have a happy new year, and I'll talk to you next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That exhausts our list of registered speakers. If there's anyone in chambers wishing to speak, please come forward at this time. Provide your name, neighborhood for the record.
Good morning. My name is Yvonne F. Brown. I live at 715 Mercer Street. That's up to the top of the hill. First, I wanted to ask or say to Ms. McCullen, you have been saying for years what they should do with the empty school buildings. I see where the Pittsburgh public school system is saying about using the buildings. Ms. McCullen, you need to come down and give us the knowledge you have about what we should do with the buildings. Also, Ms. McCullen, I would like for you, if possible, if you could get in touch with me or even come down, because you remember when you asked me if I lived in Cayley, where I lived, and I said Cayley where Irvis Tires, and you said, oh my husband went there. I would like for you to be able to tell this council what he said about how we were being treated years when just before he died. I also wanted to say that to the man that was on, to the speaker that was on the last speaker, we have the same situation in our building, but you praise the police. We don't praise them when they come to our building. We call and say there's a female, a bad actor, a female, and they send 2 males. I came down to city council and I said, if they call and tell you it's a female, we want a female cop with a male cop. You still sent in 2 males. And this woman was able to steal the man's rent money. And she had it on her when she left. The cops let her go. When they went to go find her, she disappeared. I want you to understand that, Mr. Cardhill, I look at you and I think about you. You were in the building. You seen the bad actor run up on me screaming and hollering. You did not tell the mayor. Now, this bad actor has beat a mother and daughter with a hammer and just beat a man some months ago with a stick. If it had been a white mayor, I know none of the white politicians would let him go in the building, giving out proclamations and also a plaque to Saluddin, who used to be a councilman's brother, who just came into the city of Pittsburgh and sweeping up in front of August Wilson. Whereas the building where I live at, the trash comes down. I've been cleaning it for years. I didn't ask for any money, but I will, since a city employee, previous city employee said, oh, Ms. Brown, so you're working for the city. Because any trash beyond the curve is the city's business. I cleaned it because of the rats and the raccoons and rodents jumping out whenever you tried to go across. We couldn't get to Center Avenue. You have the woman that was attacked in the building with the 2 black eyes. She said, thank you for cleaning.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please. Next speaker, please. Seeing no further speakers, we'll turn to the presentation of papers, beginning with Councilman Charlin, Chair of Human Resources.
No new papers, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilman Coghill, Chair of Public Safety and Wellness.
No new papers, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gross, Chair of Innovation, Performance, Asset Management, and Technology.
No new papers, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilman Mosley, Chair of Intergovernmental Educational Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Councilman Kahari Mosley presents Bill 1370, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 449 Melwood Avenue in the 5th Ward at no cost to the city.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kell Smith, Chair of Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services.
No new papers, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Strasburger, Chair of Finance and Law.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Councilperson Erica Strasburger presents Bill 1371, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Finance to enter into an agreement or agreements with Mayor Dussel to provide auditing services to the city of Pittsburgh. Total cost not to exceed $470,990 over 3 years, with an option for 2 additional years. And Bill 1372, resolution authorizing the reappropriation of $4,600,000 from the Department of Finance to the Department of Public Works Bureau of Administration to pay for 2024 Pittsburgh water service costs in 2025.
And Councilwoman Warwick, Chair of Public Works and Infrastructure.
No new papers, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilman Wilson, Chair of Land Use and Economic Development.
No new papers, Mr. President.
Thank you. And on behalf of myself, I have 1 communication.
Councilman R. Daniel Lavelle presents Bill 1373, communication from Jake Pollock, Director of Office of Management and Budget, submitting to City Council the attached status update from the Grants Office for the week ended December 27th, 2024.
We need a motion to read, receive, and file.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much. Our next order of business is reports of Committee for Final Action, beginning with Councilwoman Erica Strasburger, presenting the Committee of Finance and Law.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Councilperson Erica Strasburger presents Bill 1365, report of the Committee on Finance and Law for December 23rd, 2024, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1331, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Frost Brown Todd LLC for legal services in connection with a sports facility usage fee tax dispute for an amount not to exceed $49,597.29 over 1 year. Bill 1332, resolution amending Resolution 1016 of 1991, which authorized the creation of the Emergency Medical Services Reimbursed Events Trust Fund to rename the fund and update its allowable uses for consistency with other such funds within the Department of Public Safety at no cost to the city. Bill 1333, resolution amending Resolution 259 of 2013, which authorized the creation of Police Secondary Employment Trust Fund to update its allowable uses for consistency with other such funds within the Department of Public Safety at no cost to the city. Bill 1334, resolution authorizing and directing the city controller to create a special trust fund to be designated as the Fire Secondary Employment Trust Fund for the deposit of monies from fire details, secondary employment, and special events cost recovery, and authorizing the use of monies deposited therein by the Department of Public Safety to cover premium pay reimbursement for fire personnel and administrative costs related to the aforementioned activities at no cost to the city. Bill 1335, resolution amending Resolution 106 of 2020, which authorized the creation of the Crossing Guards Special Events Trust Fund to rename the fund and update its allowable uses for consistency with other such funds within the Department of Public Safety at no cost to the city. Bill 1336, resolution providing for the conveyance by the City of Pittsburgh of certain property having been placed for sale to adjoining property owners in conjunction with the City of Pittsburgh Side Yard Program, items A through X, 306 North Millville Avenue, District 9, 5204 Kincaid Street, District 9, 5414 Broad Street, District 9, 216 North Aiken Avenue, District 9, 5436 Rosetta Street, District 9, 5465 Kincaid Street, District 9, 1217 Montezuma Street, District 9, 303 Renfrew Street, District 9, 305 Renfrew Street, District 9, 1440 Oberlin Street, District 9, 295 West Elizabeth Street, District 5, 2410 Cary Way, District 3, 34 Millbridge Street, District 3, 943 Manton Way, District 3, 939 Manton Way, District 3, 0 Michigan Street, District 3, 0 Wilhelm Street, District 2, 0 Norwood Avenue, District 6, 906 Luella Street, District 1, 1420 Geyer Avenue, District 1, 3206 Rothplatz Street, District 1, 4520 Armour Hill Avenue, District 5, 4520 Armour Hill Avenue, District 5. Bill 1344, resolution authorizing the city's acceptance of deeds conveying all right, title, and interest in parcels 232A, 266, which is a vacant land parcel on a wooded hillside with no address located along Warsaw Street and Nimick Place, Council District 9, and in the 13th Ward, abutted by city-owned parcels. In 46J 315, which is a vacant land parcel with no address on Cutler Street in Council District 6, and in the 26th Ward, abutted by a city-owned parcel to the City of Pittsburgh, and authorizing the payment of $1 in exchange for the parcel. Bill 1345, resolution amending and supplementing Resolution Number 598 of 2004, effective December 10th, 2004, entitled Resolution amending Resolution Number 145 of 2001, effective March 28th, 2001, which amended Resolution Number 69 of 2001, effective February 28th, 2001, which amended Resolution Number 844 of 1989, effective October 27th, 1989, which amended Resolution Number 564 of 1989, effective July 17th, 1989, authorizing implementation of an employee tuition reimbursement program to reduce such reimbursement to 50% of tuition costs pursuant to Act 47 Plan Initiative WF15 by extending the prior approval requirement for eligible employees and providing for a retroactive effective date.
You've heard the reading and the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? I'll begin with Councilwoman Strasburger.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to amend Bill 1336. The amendment should be in front of you, and it simply deletes item R and it amends item W to correct an address.
Thank you. May we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill 1336 has been successfully amended. And Councilman Wilson?
Yes, Mr. President. I have an amendment by substitution, 1345. I'd like to make a motion to amend.
By substitution, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to make some comments about this. So recently worked with the mayor's office to make some edits, ones that they wanted to exclude their office in this bill, which I think makes sense considering that, it's essentially their HR department and they work with them on their own policy. And I know that we all have some different ways that we treat our employees, or maybe that it is similar, but there is differences. I know for myself, how I give my employees, whether they're working in the office or they're hybrid, whether there's comp time, whether there's not comp time, how they're onboarded is different. There are different ways that I think each of us could say that we are handling our employee situation. And essentially, I think the main purpose that we're trying to get to is to make sure that we're serving our districts the best we can, and that ultimately that is up to the public to decide whether or not that's being handled correctly. I know for myself, being in office since 2020, onboarding looked different, especially in times of COVID. And I mean, essentially all of us that were here at that time and employees were sent home. And there was a different leadership in place. There was different things that happened that when I look back on, not only the approval process could have got lost in translation with some employees. And so I think that there is this grace period that should be given. And I think that it's essential that we reimburse employees for the benefit that they most likely could have signed up for, to work for the city. And I think that it's relevant because not only for the time period, but also because there are unique situations in each district, in each council office. We all have different objectives to get to in terms of serving the public best. And there could be some classes that may not be approved by HR. Maybe they fully don't understand why, we would want our employee to take a certain class. But this doesn't totally cut out HR also. I just want to make that clear that HR is involved in making sure that it is an accredited university, that, these are real credits, that there is this track record of this class being taken. This isn't just, free money that we're giving out, and it's just up to, whoever the council member is to approve that. There are strict rules. I think there's just two rules that I think are, that I don't agree with, and that I think we should have those decisions within our own offices to decide. And I'm hoping that, we can pass this today so that, employees, so we continue to, tell, current, future employees that, look, this is a benefit, and, make sure that if you did the work, then you're getting reimbursed. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The bill has been amended. Any further discussion? Councilwoman Smith.
Just in general on the trust funds, I've just talked with Councilman Coghill, and I think we'll put an amendment forward later, but I do have some concerns about the trust funds just having other uses and not knowing what those uses are that they've not been identified in the bill. And so we're going to make sure we address that coming up in the new year with a couple other amendments for other things that passed this past month. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, the bill is now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Mr. Charlin?
Aye.
Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
No on Bill 2024-1345. Aye on all other bills.
Mr. Mosley?
Aye.
Mrs. Cale Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle, President?
Aye.
9 ayes on bills 1331, 1332, 1333, 1334, 1335, 1336, and 1344, and 8 ayes, 1 no on 1345.
The bills having received the legally required numbers of votes is passed finally. That takes us to Councilman Anthony Coghill presenting the Committee of Public Safety and Wellness.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Councilman Anthony Coghill presents Bill 1366, Report of the Committee on Public Safety and Wellness for December 23, 2024, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1324, Resolution authorizing the Mayor and the Director of the Office of Management and Budget to apply for grant funding from the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development's local share account statewide to provide funding to purchase 2 ambulances. The grant proposal includes an ask of $1 million for this stated purpose. Bill 1325, Resolution authorizing the Mayor and Director of the Department of Public Safety to enter on behalf of the City of Pittsburgh into an agreement or agreements with Humane Animal Rescue of Pittsburgh for detention, care, and or euthanasia of domesticated animals at an overall cost to the city not to exceed $2,280,273 over 3 years.
You've heard the reading and the title of the bill. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the bill is now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Mr. Charlin?
Aye.
Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Mosley?
Aye.
Mrs. Cale Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle, President?
Aye.
9 ayes.
The bill having received the legally required numbers of votes is passed finally, and that takes us to Councilwoman Barbara Ward presenting the Committee of Public Works and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Barbara Warwick presents Bill 1367, Report of the Committee on Public Works and Infrastructure for December 23, 2024, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1337, Resolution authorizing the Mayor, the Director of the Office of Management and Budget, and the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to apply for grant funding from the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development's local share account statewide to provide funding for the planning around the Bluff Street steps. The grant proposal includes an ask of $176,400 for this stated purpose. Bill 1338, Resolution authorizing the Mayor, the Director of the Office of Management and Budget, and the Department of Public Works to apply for grant funding from the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development's local share account statewide to provide funding for the Shenley Heights Pavilion construction project. The grant proposal includes an ask of $1 million for this stated purpose. Bill 1339, Resolution authorizing the mayor, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, and the Department of Public Works to enter into an agreement or agreements with the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection for the purpose of receiving grant funds from the 902 Municipal Recycling Grant in the amount not to exceed $200,000 for equipment and outreach around the city's recycling program. The grant requires a match from the City of Pittsburgh in the amount not to exceed $22,223 for this stated purpose, for a total project cost not to exceed $222,223. Bill 1340, resolution providing for an agreement or agreements with H.W. Lochner, Inc. for costs associated with the preliminary design phase for the Pittsburgh City Steps project, providing for the payment of the costs thereof not to exceed $669,850.78, reimbursable at 80%. Bill 1341, resolution providing for an agreement with CSXT for preliminary engineering work on the rehabilitation of the West Carson Street Bridge, and providing for the payment of the costs thereof not to exceed $16,280, reimbursable at 95%. Bill 1342, resolution providing for the issuance of a warrant in favor of Biano Construction, Inc. in the amount of $31,350 for the purpose of off-contract sidewalk repairs, and providing for the payment of the costs thereof.
You have heard the reading and the title of the bill. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Smith.
I just wanted to mention that the West Carson Street Bridge is the bridge in Esplin a lot of us hear about on Twitter or X now from Orson Squirrel. So I just want to make sure maybe people hopefully will get a good tweet today about this bridge, because it's been something that people have been asking about for a long time. So I want to thank Domi for their work on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If none, the bill is now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye when the name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Mr. Charlin?
Aye.
Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Mosley?
Aye.
Mrs. Kell Smith?
Aye. I wish I could vote a double aye. Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle, President?
Aye.
9 ayes.
The bill, having received the legally required number of votes, is passed finally. That takes us to Councilwoman Teresa Kell Smith, presenting the Committee of Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Teresa Kell Smith presents Bill 1368, Report of the Committee on Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services for December 23, 2024, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1327, Resolution authorizing the Mayor, the Director of the Office of Management and Budget, and the Department of Parks and Recreation to enter into an agreement or agreements with the Pennsylvania Broadband Development Authority for the purpose of receiving grant funds from the ARPA Capital Projects Fund Digital Connectivity Technology Program in the form of laptops valued at an amount not to exceed $295,000 for Rec to Tech program. Bill 1328, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of Parks and Recreation on behalf of the City of Pittsburgh to enter into financial and in-kind sponsorship agreements valued at $10,000 or less for the City Parks Office of Special Events 2025 season. Bill 1329, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Pittsburgh Regional Transit in an amount not to exceed $13,411.75 for transportation services for the 2024 Richard S. Caligiuri Great Race on September 29, 2024. Bill 1330, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of Parks and Recreation to enter into an agreement with Swank Motion Pictures, Inc. as a sole source for 2025, 2026, and 2027 for rental and display rights of certain movie entertainment for events to be held by the Office of Special Events for a yearly cost of $32,000 and a total cost not to exceed $96,000.
You have heard the reading and title of the bills. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the bill is now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye when the name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Mr. Charlin?
Aye.
Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Mosley?
Aye.
Mrs. Kell Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle, President?
Aye.
9 ayes.
The bill having received the legally required number of votes is passed finally. And finally, it takes us to Councilman Khari Mosley presenting the Committee on Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Councilman Khari Mosley presents Bill 1369, Report of the Committee on Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs for December 23, 2024, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1326, Resolution authorizing a sub-award agreement or agreements providing for the transfer of funds not to exceed $750,000 to the Urban Redevelopment Authority to support the development of affordable housing on Homewood Avenue as part of a federal appropriation management managed by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And Bill 1350, Resolution further amending Resolution 413 of 2020, which authorized the mayor and the director of the Office of Management and Budget to enter into a cooperation agreement or agreements relating to the shared operation and administration of the City of Pittsburgh Child Care Quality Fund by extending the term through 2025 at no further cost to the city.
You've heard the reading and the title of the bill. Is there any discussion? If none, the bill is now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Mr. Charlin?
Aye.
Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Mosley?
Aye.
Mrs. Kell Smith?
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle, President?
Aye.
9 ayes.
The bill having received a legally required number of votes is passed finally. That takes us to motions and resolutions. Is there anything from members? Councilwoman Smith.
I just want to briefly mention that, in previous years, past few years, we've had Dan Friesen who looked over our agendas, and I just want to make sure that we still have somebody legally looking over the agenda who has a law degree, so that we're making sure we're voting on things that are legal and in good standing. That's all. Do we have somebody still?
Yes.
I knew we had a young person, but she didn't have her law degree yet. That's my
You're
understanding.
talking the young woman that was in the clerk's office.
Okay.
But we still have this. We still have the solicitor's
Same
office
process. Okay.
to take a look at it.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're doing okay here. Thank you.
Anything else from members? Councilman Mosley.
I just wanted to, send my condolences again to the mother who lost her daughter, 2-year-old daughter, in East Hills on Friday night at the fire. Also want to thank the fire and EMS, for their response, but thank the community leaders like Yogi Akri and the president of the Tenant Association for their leadership over the last couple of days, and Schumann's Homewood for providing food for the nearly 60 people that have been displaced by the fire. And we're working hard to give folks back, under shelter, but then also try to identify permanent housing for those who live on the 3rd floor of that building, which will be condemned for some time. And I want to applaud my colleague, Councilwoman Kell Smith, for calling for a post-agenda specifically around, the issue of senior housing and low-income housing. Throughout the city, we do have a crisis. There was definitely some very serious deplorable conditions at the Maple Ridge Apartments, and we're going to be working with HUD and other, partners to improve the conditions, but also prevent, more tragedies like this. So again, I just ask the entire city, to wrap their arms around the East Hills community. They're really hurting right now.
And just so you're aware, a few years ago, I had a similar situation on D. Broad Street in Uptown where we had a really tragic fire that displaced a number of families. and we were able to tap the Housing Opportunity Fund as a resource to help relocate many of those families. If you recall, there was a line item when we passed the budget this year that's called demonstration dollars. It's literally for times like potentially like this. So if you need additional potential city resources to help, there is that line item that potentially could help those families.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Councilwoman Smith?
I just want to mention to that, that incident. First of all, I was grateful when I saw your response on social media and what you did working with the people in the community. But I do think that this is an issue, I mean, across the city of Pittsburgh with the housing and with the condemned properties that we have sitting around vacant. Housing in general, just in Pittsburgh, the housing stock in Pittsburgh needs a lot of attention right now. We're diverting dollars away from those things every time we're doing other things. But I also think that the utility poles, when we saw the storms yesterday, our utility poles across the city of Pittsburgh are in really bad shape in a lot of places. And I really think it's time for us to either just to have a conversation with Duquesne Light about what they're doing to maintain some of these utility poles, or what we need to do differently, because we can't stop them from connecting things and doing things that they're doing, but we can say you can't put utility poles on city property. So there's things we can do, and so I think that it's incumbent upon Duquesne Light to make sure that they're looking around and doing some assessment of these utility poles across the city of Pittsburgh, because so many were down and so many people without power yesterday. So I just wanted to make sure that we put that out there a little bit. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't. Agreed, and I don't know the specific number inside the city, but I do know as of the start of this meeting, there were still about 30,000 people without power across Allegheny County. But Councilwoman Warwick?
Yeah, I just wanted to note with regard to this tragedy in the East Hills, but how important it is, for the rental registry, which is, I'm assuming, coming down the pipe, right? That is going to be the city's way to make sure that housing is up to par, right, is safe. And I'm also very glad that registry is going to include public housing providers, right, from HACP to any other HUD buildings, because it's an issue in all our communities, I think, So I'll be glad to see that. I do also, though, want to underscore that, when this does get rolled out, that we will need to be careful that we don't unintentionally end up with folks who have been providing subpar housing to lower income tenants than using the rental registry as a means to evict those tenants and then upgrade the apartments, and then we no longer have those as affordable units. So it'll be something that we'll need to think about as a council and as we roll that out. So anyway, thank you, and I'm very sorry to hear Councilman Mosley about the fire. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from members? If not, we do have meeting announcements. There is no standing committee meeting this week. Next week, council will hold our regular meeting and our standing committee meeting on Tuesday, January 7th and Wednesday, January 8th at 10 a.m. respectively. Speakers registration will close at 9 a.m. the morning of each meeting. To register to speak at these meetings, please fill up the sign-up form on the council meeting webpage or call the clerk's office at 412-255-2138. And lastly, Wednesday, January 5th, 2025, City Council and the clerk's office will be closed in observance of New Year's Day. With that, we want to wish everyone a safe New Year's Eve and a Happy New Year. I need a motion to approve the minutes and adjourn the meeting.
So move, and thank you, Mr. President, for the great job you did all year. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
You did a great job, sir.